Hi guys, welcome back to Politically Correct. This is the second episode of Debunking Conservatives. In this second episode, we're going to talk about something related to the demonstrations, the few riots, and all the mess that's going on in America. In fact, we're going to talk about the hypocrisy of conservatives on free speech and political correctness. Now, free speech is one of the things that I really do love about America. I mean, we have free speech here in Europe, but European free speech is a little bit different from the American one. But I'm probably going to talk about political differences between the US and Europe in another video. Free speech was in fact the main reason why the libertarians and conservatives got me at first before I became a progressive. They were so vocal about it, and they created this narrative about the left trying to shut them up, avoiding the conflict. Of course, that's a false narrative because they call the left everyone who disagrees with them. So for me, the left was represented by the college kids in search of safe space and all that shit. And here's something that is so sickening about conservatives. They constantly call out the left. The left is this, the left is that. But then when you ask them, some leftist intellectuals,
I don't know, they're really...
So of course when they talk, they really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But they're still very vocal about the left being anti-free speech. In fact, there's a new movement on the right that's very vocal about free speech and political correctness. And you know what? I tend to agree with them.
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive.
The problem is that they use free speech as a weapon whenever they're called out about the nonsense that comes out of their mouth. In fact, they pretend that conservatives have always been in favor of free speech, but historically conservatives have nothing to do with free speech. In fact, they always champion for religion, authoritarianism and law and order. They historically oppose movements for the acquisitions of minority rights, and religion has always opposed free speech. The real politically incorrect dudes have always been progressive dudes. All the artists, philosophers, writers that called for progress and refuted the aristocratic standards. These people were shut down by conservatives and religious people. Even nowadays, you have, for example, comedians, the most unpolitically correct people on the planet. Now, conservatives have a ridiculous position on comedians. They cheer, for example, for Ricky Gervais when he did the most left-wing shit you can possibly do. He called out all the big corporations for all the shit they do. Who's the other guy that does the exact same thing? And who are the others that are constantly in the fucking way? But now their positions are the unpopular ones, and so they use the free speech bullshit to turn their unpopularity at you. How many times you heard from conservatives, just because I criticized Obama doesn't mean I'm a racist, criticizing Hillary Clinton doesn't make me a sexist, and so on. And then as soon as Ilhan Omar criticized the legalized bribery that happens between Israelis lobbyists and the US Senate, magically, she becomes an anti-Semite. As soon as Colin Kaepernick kneels, he's an anti-American. And most important, as soon as people protest for police brutality, call the fucking military. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, but we have to restore law and order. No. You can't have it both. When it's convenient, they're the freedom guys. When they disagree, they become the law and order dudes. Or how many times they pushed for this narrative of all the media are biased, they're all leftists. First of all, they're just ignoring Fox News, so I guess even conservatives don't take Fox News seriously. But besides that, all the media are leftists?
That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's proven that Bernie Sanders received the worst coverage by every media outlet. And you know why? Because they represent the power, the elites, the establishment. But it's the left that actually fight against the power. Because we want the corporations to be regulated and to give up part of their profits to assure workers' rights. We are their worst nightmare. While you guys are in favor of getting rid of a lot of regulations so that the CEOs can do whatever the fuck they want. So spare me this bullshit of conservatives that threaten the power. Conservatives and libertarians are the elite's wet dream. Now, I wouldn't say that there isn't people that try to crack down free speech, for example, on college campuses. But they are, first of all, they are a tiny percent of the left. They're probably not even the left. I think they're just libtards. But I've already told you how the right flip-flopped on this issue, whether it was calling Ilhan Omar, now demonstrators, but there are others, guys. I mean, how can you be the freedom of speech guy and at the same time supporting Trump, who wants to fucking send the military to stop the protest? This is Soviet Union style, for fuck's sake. How can they argue against Twitter for freedom of speech for Trump, but at the same time saying that the NFL had the right to fire Colin Kaepernick because they're private and they can do whatever the fuck they want? First of all, no, private corporations can do whatever the fuck they want. But for conservatives, that depends on who is the victim. If it's a left-wing person, they can do whatever they want. If it's Trump, they become snowflakes and crying for their safe space. I mean, the soccer league had to abolish the ban on kneeling. What the fuck? There shouldn't have been a ban in the first fucking place. Now there is also another point, probably the last point. So the difference is between left-wingers calling for freedom of speech against right-wingers calling for that. Because notice, when right-wingers call for freedom of speech, they call free speech for free speech's sake. You know what I mean? They are not using this amazing right to add something to the conversation. Most of the time, they use free speech and political incorrectness just to shit over Muslims, LGBT people, women, race, and all that shit. They weaponize free speech so that they can get away with being assholes. Oh yeah, I have the right to call you faggot or nigger. Yeah, I have the right to tell you that you can't be married because you like people of your same sex. They're adding nothing to the discourse. They're spoiling one of the greatest right ever to exist. It's a privilege that most people don't have in the world. And since the left understand this, we want to use it for something good. When we call for freedom of speech, or when we say something politically incorrect, it's to expose the dirt of the elites, to expose their crimes, to protect people that do this, like whistleblowers, and fighting for net neutrality. So we touched a lot of points in this video because I wanted to talk about this massive hypocrisy of the right about freedom of speech and political correctness, and I tried to actualize it. I don't even know if that's a term, to all the things that are going on right now. So guys, don't fall for their shit about this. They don't really believe in free speech. They use it as a weapon to get away with being assholes. Because they change their positions whenever it's convenient. We touched the fact that conservatives have always been in favor of maintaining the system as it is. They've always been aristocrats. And they've always been with clerical institutions, and the real politically incorrect people have always been progressives, whether they were artists, writers, philosophers, scientists, comedians, and so on. And now they pretend to be in favor of fighting the power when they are the establishment's wet dream. The fact is that we call for political incorrectness and free speech to call out the elites, unlike right-wingers that do it just for fun, essentially. And also the fact that they call out the left without even know what the left is. I mean, Ben Shapiro called Andrew O'Neill a leftist, who is even more right-wing than Ben Shapiro. So that was the video. It was a very powerful video because I said a lot of bad words. Oh my god, I was so offended. And yeah, there's still grammar mistakes as always, but I mean, they will go below zero. Let me tell you guys, it's gonna be a miracle someday. I will not make these mistakes anymore. It's gonna be tremendous. It's gonna be amazing. It's always fun to do this. It's always fun. And if I add the real timing, like the timing in English, that should be funny, but it's not because I don't have the timing in English. And so, yeah. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this second episode of Debunking Conservatives, and see you next video.